but there is a real connection that can happen, and that can come through lifetimes. I've seen this before where entities, it depends on the individual, of course, they don't always show up for me personally. And I think that that's because, like, they'll hide, in other words. I think that's because who I've been in the past. You know, some of us have had our swords of light or fire for a long time, and we would just take them out. You know, our job would be, um, in the past anyway. This is what I remember as dissolution. You wouldn't stand a chance. We were here to rid the universe of that energy and send it for transmutation. Some people called it primordial stew, if you will, meaning it's going back to source. Doesn't mean it will end being, it means it will be a different form now. It will no longer be what it was. It will now be back to source, and then it can become something else going forward. Some of these old ones will make agreements and then carry through lifetimes with the same being through their incarnations. And so that also requires, once again, the afflicted person to come to a recognition and be ready to be done with it. Actually agree to let that entity attachment go and dissolve all contracts with that being. Gosh, once again, discernment keeps coming up.
是我玩的，
哎，share.
嗯，
Troy, you mind if I think I might have to elaborate on what my family was talking about? So basically,
please
there's
do.
in Ayurveda, there are three phases of mind that you need to be aware of. It's called sattva, rajas, and tamas. Everybody know what sattva is. Your connection to God is one of them. Your ability to tell the truth, to uphold righteousness, doing the right things. Those are sattvic qualities. There's an old saying, you hang around with thieves, you become a robber. You hang around with
Mm.
scholars, you become a sage, or you become a philosopher. This is directly from China, from my lineage. They basically like who, if you choose to be crooked, you will attract others who are crooked just like you, just
Mm.
like you attract demons. In order for you to attract demons and be possessed by demons, you must have engaged in so much tamas. That means like evil doing, like
Mm.
you lie, you steal, you kill, commit adultery, you name all the above. Uh, you eat very toxic food that poisons your body. You engage in wrong livelihood. Those are the stuff that really get you involved with demons. Like that's because like demons, they feed off of that type of behavior. They know that they like that about you. That's why they come to you.
Mm.
You want to be around saints and you want to know if your channeling led to the point where you become less and less like a human, but more like a saint. Look first within you. Do you have a lot of worries in your life? How are you with other people? Do you spend time, do you have more time to do things that you want? Or are you always distracted? You always run around and trying to figure things out. If it's running around, that's not sattva. That's not even tamas. That's rajas. That's movement. A human, an animal, and any other beings that are like right in the middle, they have a lot of rajas, and especially humans. Because humans, like, we're right in the middle between God and demons. That's it. Between God and animal. And so we have a lot of rajas in us. But if we can control that, we will ascend.
Thank you, Andy, for that insight and delineation. I appreciate that.
Could I add a little quick? I love this format because everything everyone says inspires another insight or wisdom to come forward. It feels. Um, One of the beings who I witnessed close up early on my path, who had what you'd call demon possession come through, had that darker element, not necessarily through her own self only, also through her actual physical lineage. So she had a parent who had messed around with what our culture would call dark witchcraft. So that's something for us to be mindful of as well, that what we're practicing affects not just us, but our lineage going
Karma,
forward.
they say.
Mhm.
Karma.
Dharma, yes. So it's a good thing to be aware of, that we want to put forward into what's coming next, as much awareness as possible, so that we can create what we want outcome wise with that consciousness. And it's unfortunate, but if a person has a mother who, in this case, she did dark witchcraft when she was a baby against the father, well, that child went on to, when she stepped onto her awakening path, being a conduit for a very dark thing. Now, that specific instance was an educational one. So that meant me, the witness, got to see God per se and the devil come through two different people and have a talk. And it was presented in a way that was educational. I was given a choice at the very beginning of my awakening path as a teenager. And the choice wasn't overt, but it was unspoken and it was clear. Which way will you go? Are you going to jump into the arms of the light or jump into the arms of the dark? And I jumped into the arms of the light. And I kid you not, as soon as I jumped into the arms of the light, both of them shifted and held me like a child, like there, you did it. It's okay now, you're safe. So even the person through whom darkness came in, it was clearly not her. It was all in the service of awakening anyway, in that instance. So I feel like that weakness, if you will, or that propensity to allow darkness through, wasn't just from her own experiences and choices, but they were from her mother's. They were from her family lineage. Gosh, I couldn't quite read the book there, Andy. What was the title of that? That looked fascinating.
This is actually the book of one of my lineage holders actually wrote this book. It's called The
Ooh.
49 Barriers to Cultivate the Tao. Taoism is part of my family heritage, and they basically wrote on there that there's like 49 different things that you can go wrong. One of them is arrogance. The other one is body of form. That means you latch onto your body. You talk about jealousy, envy, fearing of difficulties, absurd thinking, like groundlessness. That's why my family, like when they look at when I was at Evergreen State College, they basically despise a lot of the Evergreen State College students because they're very ungrounded. Not many people are like it takes bravery to stand on your 2 foot and learn how to go forward without any fear.
In my experience, humans, their fear in terms of being driven by it. There's helpful fear, you don't want to go over a cliff, so your body will have a visceral, fearful experience of, an intake of breath that tells you, don't step any further, you might go off the cliff. And that's useful. But in terms of fear mongering or being driven by fear, I feel a lot of it, for me, my experience and opinion, is a fear of death. So when folks have this fear of what's next and fear of the unknown, deep down inside, they may be really scared to die. And that being said, when we remember our wholeness, when we remember how big we really are, when we remember our connection to Source and God, we recognize even if this human form passes away, our energy, our spirit will continue. We actually are infinite. We change form. So it may change physical form. And I feel when humans come to that understanding, however they get that understanding, when they remember their wholeness, remember their connection to source, then I feel like they won't be so fear driven any longer.
Actually, there is a reason why a lot of these people are fear driven.
Mm.
First off, it's called wishful thinking when they say that you don't want to confront reality.
Mm.
If you're a person who's driven to find God, you won't, even the dark, you look at it with how disgusting it looks, you will not flee from it. But when you look at the light, you're also aloof from it because basically it's all part of the same thing. And if you do not know how to know that, okay, darkness is there to help you know that this is not who you are. The light is like, is helping you. This is who you are, that you must drive forward. That's what the light is. And what basically this book about cultivating the Tao, there are some people like, it's called I see, I hear no evil. And that's the wrong approach to how you practice any ancient tradition that my family taught. And that's basically, they say that's cowardice. That's not in any shape or form bravery. You have to face things head on like a hero. If you don't do it, you will lose everything. And so pretty much like what you don't know that regarding children, basically my family, there's an old saying that you are they are your creation. That's how simple they say things. Like in four sentence, they are your creations. Because children, you mold them from when they're you don't just mold them when they're 4 or 5 or 7. You mold them when you are a fetus. You mold them when they were just like sperms and eggs. Because how you cultivate yourself as an individual, you pass it down to the sperm of your sperm. If you're a male, if you're a female, is your eggs. It keeps inside that like every single one of your cells carry that power within you. And if you basically do something wrong, it's also recorded in there. And then next thing you know, when your children are born, they carry that karma from you.
Mm.
That's why like a lot of people who like when they commit violence or become psychopaths or criminals, their kid becomes rebellious the same way. Or if like some people are unlucky, they were born in a war, their children start waking up, they thought they saw a bomb going off. That's pretty normal because everything is consciousness. What you do, that's what karma is. But if you want to go no karma, that's what meditation is you no longer cling onto one particular way of living. You have to let it go and know that's still a part of God. And then you have to learn to have reverence that just like a healer or a doctor, when he sees a well person, he say, okay, that's just a well individual. He is doing what he is called to do. But if he sees an like a person who commits wrongdoings, he doesn't gets mad and wants that person dead. He say this person is just he's sick. He's sick. He needs help. And how can I help him? And it takes bravery to be that way.
Well, and I agree with that. I also agree that this is where being disciplined with our thought forms can come in really handy when we're working either with others or on our own path work. That way, if someone is unconscious to the workings of their own mind and their own being, they may form judgments and think these judgments or put somebody else in a box of an idea without even intending to. They're just having thoughts, I think. And my response would be, we get to be disciplined with our thoughts. The more awake and aware we are, we then become responsible to that awareness, to act honorably, to act with integrity in alignment with who we know ourselves to be and what we are aiming to do in this lifetime, whether it's assisting with the awakening, working with individuals, whether it's planting trees or whatever we're doing. When we do it with intentionality, we actually then increase the benefit. So say somebody's working as a cook, if they're thinking loving thoughts of nourishing the bodies of the people who are eating the food the entire time, that food's going to be amazing to eat, and it will have a nourishing and supportive effect. If that same person is having a bad day and are thinking all kinds of things, well, that's affecting the quality and outcome of that food, and that's going to affect the person who ingests it. Well, the food could be anything. It could be the class we're teaching. It could be, so when we're doing our lives, there's an old saying, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. So many of us, even though we are doing our awakening path and are stepping into our gifts more and more all the time, we're also tasked with doing our daily lives. This is something we can have a measure of control over, is how we think about it, what thoughts we use, what we focus our attention and intention on.
Thank you so much, Alana and Andy. I have a few comments to make. I was reminded of a quote that I saw a while back. It was very impactful to me, that not every person is here to evolve. Some souls and people are actually here to remind us what it looks like when we do not evolve or do not try to. So that's a bit of food for thought. I also think it's interesting, Andy, that there's 49 barriers to cultivating the Tao of that book. And the number 49, I don't see very often, but it came up in basically as a result of my channelings with my Seraphim guide. He's been talking a lot in like recent channelings about the children of New Hope. And he has started to delineate that since 2008, a process has started, a 49-year process of 7 phases of this that are 7 years long each. And so that adds up to 49. 4 plus 9 is 13, a divine number, typically of the divine feminine. And so that's just really interesting. And the children of New Hope, by the way, are the future, the next wave of humanity, or the teachers of it, and they are the ones who are now laying down and will be laying down the foundations for bringing heaven to earth. And that's also part of my mission, is uniting heaven with earth more and more with my church and school soon. So, yeah, the children of
Actually,
New Hope.
Troy, my family do want to say about this is when you mentioned 49, on the list is the 49th barrier of in the Book of Heavens. They say it's the barrier of illusory scenes. And the 7th is called the barrier of arrogant chi. Basically, what that basically means, although a lot of spiritual beings who are high level like us came over and we do our mission, the one barrier that keeps us, that can actually kill us from achieving what our mission is we get caught up in illusions. We because we are very powerful, we can make things happen. We ended up falling trapped into what we create. And the other is those who have that much power, they're saying, you want to test somebody's character. You want to see how prideful they are, give them power. And basically, you notice a lot of like starseed communities, why they are easily manipulated by MK Ultra and a lot of these negative beings is because inside of them, they get arrogant. They know that they have so much power. They know that they are the light, but instead of like using it to confront the darkness and help bring people out of it and doing things, they basically like they go about and like they do drugs, they do all sorts of stuff. You saw it yourself at Evergreen State College, and I'm a bear witness to that whatever's happening there. My lineage saw this, and that's why they say that those are the two pitfalls among starseed communities, and you got to be very careful, because that's the one thing that I had to learn myself, is that some people are humans. I have to learn to listen to them too. Sometimes it's hard to be patient, but at least I know, like, my mother is one of them. I have to learn to listen to her. Sometimes, like, she can be slow, but I had to know that that's just her. But if she only if she like literally really puts me down for real, and she thinks that I am that way, that's when I have to speak up. It takes a lot of growing up and wisdom.
Hmm.
That's why this is why, like, coming to Earth is not an easy task. And I've seen a lot of starseeds. They claim to be of the light, but then next thing you know, I saw them go down the wrong place, and I was like, really, dude? Come on.
I
Hmm.
I feel like I'm fortunate in some of this, in that even though being in 3D reality can be so challenging, I personally really enjoy being in human form. I really enjoy the breadth and width of human emotions. I feel like it's something not to be missed. And I hear you. There are people who, it's an interesting conundrum, because even though we get to act with the highest knowing that we have, and then be responsible to change according to that awareness. So, in other words, this was something I discovered as a teenager with the friends and teacher I had, that once we become aware of something, then we become responsible to change according to that awareness. So that's acting with responsibility. And there are people who will slide off of that on occasion, or maybe they're really beset with whatever's happening in their world. I think of it also as being dysregulated. So if someone is really off, either they are dehydrated, or they're, who knows, right? Like their diet or something is really, really not working in a cohesive way. So it could be dysregulation. Um, I work to be compassionate about even those who are seeming to go astray, or what are you doing there, guy, or girl, because we don't always know what's happening in their world personally. But that said, one of the galactic stances I notice a lot of my galactic peers utilize is neutrality. Because when we're in neutral, we're not as pushed and pulled by any of it.
Hmm.
And yeah,
Cool. So
yeah.
what I
You
want to
mean,
say, we should wrap up pretty soon because we are at just over 2 hours now officially. Um, it's going to be a long recording to review, but I also want to share that the key to some of this, just like what Andy brought up, is the illusions of life, and it's so easy to get caught up in also entitlement, like identifying with certain titles, identifying that you're a star seed, identifying that you're Pleiadian or from whatever star system, but then not really diving deep into the the meditation and the regression practices of truly remembering what that was like in those bodies and on those planets, and what that means and what you can bring back from that. Um, so yeah, there's an importance of not getting caught up in the illusions of titles and illusions of other things in life that aren't so clear and easy to like describe and talk about. Um, One thing that has been helping me lately, I actually, I guess, sort of was taught this and recovered this from a recent psilocybin mushroom trip. It was a very intentional trip. It wasn't just to get high or anything, but
Mhm.
um, so I was taught that I'm a witnesser when I was investigating my belonging in this world. And so this has been an evolutionary thing for me recently, but being able to tune into myself and remember that I'm a witnesser, and then look at my life, look at my passions and creations, and just look at um, sometimes I see them or envision them kind of like as if you have a table and there's lots of little cups or bowls of different colors, maybe of water or materials. Each of those represents different emotions and projects and passions. And so as a witness, you just get to be the observer, look at all those and see them for what they are. See that, oh yeah, these aren't real. They're not necessarily the truth, but they are just all these emotions, all these creations, all these passions that I have in life. But some of them I could let go of and get back to creating a few of them only from the real core and message of my essence of why I'm here and what I'm here to do. And so that's what has really been helping me as a witnesser and also as a channel to be able to tune into that and observe what I'm bringing through as well.
Hmm.
Actually, Troy, if you want to really learn the original way that my people or my ancestors taught, basically they say read the Bhagavad Gita from Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna is he is actually an amphibian who is part of our from my maternal lineage. He
Mhm.
taught those same stuff you've been talking about 5,000 years ago. Like, how do you know if you're devoted to God? And basically, there's a commentary. It's called the Bhagavad Gita as it is by Swami Prabhupada. He's a Vaishnavist. He actually practiced under many different teachers, and they say the same thing. If you put your mind towards God and single-mindedly towards put your actions in there, then you will incur no karma.
Mhm. And it is books such as the Bhagavad Gita and Buddhist teachings and some of the holy books of the world and profound channeled material that I'm going to have available in the library of my church and school someday.
Yeah, Dhammapada, my family say you better teach it to children who have a more mature spiritual level, especially the
Mhm.
Dhammapada, because you have to pay attention to your mind and you have to learn how to fast. You cannot just go in there and just like, oh, I practice it in meditation and silent my mind and that you think that's simple. You have to
Mhm.
like your entire being is the mind. What you nourish in there, what you eat in there, that's basically how you cultivate it. If you eat like crappy foods, forget it. Your mind will be crappy.
It is.
Akotochita lakashinteshe. So I want to jump in with that one because earlier I was using an illustration of a cook who uses intentionality. One of the things that we can also utilize for ourselves is blessing and programming the food and the water as we take it in. And this is something I've come across in various circles and practices. A recent Indigenous elder in Canada even mentioned it that you basically are commanding, so like command codes, um, or instructing the medicine in what it needs to do, or praying.
Mhm.
It's using different words to describe the same phenomenon, but we can raise the frequency of the food and the drink that we take into our bodies by praying or blessing it. And that I feel counters some of the energetics that may have occurred along the way of that food or water that we may not be aware of.
Exactly. And I learned that so much more powerfully um, during that psilocybin mushroom trip that was very healing for me because I knew that I had to create a very clear intention. I wrote it down and spoke it before ingesting the mushroom. And then I describe it as being kind of like a genie. The spirit of the mushroom is like a genie that gave me everything that was in my intentions.
Mm.
And some of that is still going, but yeah, it's powerful medicine. I would recommend it, especially for people who are serious on the spiritual path of evolution, um, and who want a serious reboot and refreshing and change in their life. So I think that is long enough recording, certainly. And this has been a lovely channel panel. I'm so glad that we're able to bring in these messages and lights under this period of the dog days of summer, where Sirius is blessing us with a great stream of light as it also rises before the sun during these 40 days. So thank you
Troy,
to...
may I throw one more thing out when you asked about how to reach us? What I can do also for those who are watching this prior to mid-August, on 8-8 Lionsgate, I'll be at a place called Sedona in Sedona, Arizona at 7:30 in the evening. We'll be doing a sacred sound frequency gathering using drums and instruments and voices to honor the 8-8 Lionsgate portal. And then on the 10th of August, I will be in Albuquerque at the hosted by Tammy and Anthony Chino. So I'll be with the Chinos doing a light language and sound frequency presentation there. I think at their new facility, I don't have the address right now, but they call it collective frequency there in Albuquerque. So if on the 10th of August, anybody's in Albuquerque who's watching this or is close enough to come check it out, or in Sedona on 8-8 Lionsgate, those are two of the upcoming events that I will be available at. And I will have drums there with me. I actually make drums for others. So I'll have drums available for purchase, and that helps with the travel costs because I do a lot of traveling for spirit. So I just wanted to throw that out there because my little brain forgets those things a lot. And so thank you very much.
Thank you, Alana. That sounds beautiful. And I will be sure to also, perhaps you can provide me with links and information on those events. And I'll have that in the description box. Thank you, everyone, for participating. Thank you to Alana, Andy, as well as Dante, who was with us. And Bill, thank you for attending and participating. That is the channel panel. We will be doing this again. Thank you all.
Thank
And
you,
blessings. Blessings for the rest of your day and for the rest of your days. We will be in touch. May the
Many
source be with you.
Thank you for having us. We appreciate you, Troy. You are an amazing being on the planet. And I love you, my brother. Thank you, for remembering who you are and for stepping up into your gifts in such a beautiful manner. Thank you, Troy. And thank you, Andy, for being here with us. I appreciate your wisdom immensely and your ancestors. Appreciate that much. Thank you.
Yeah, it's almost like you guys are speaking in Native American while I'm speaking Cantonese.
This is our light language, Andy.
We know a lot.